Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Bricker Boom, and we're back with another episode of Pokemon by Daylight. So, this time around, we are going to be covering Nick Cage because we gotta cover Cage. He just recently came out, and I honestly should have released this sooner, but I didn't think that far ahead because shut up. Detective Tapp, and then finally Adam. So, let's go ahead, hop into it, and cover the man himself.
Okay, here we go. Countless awards, billions of dollars at the box office, over 100 films shot in every corner of the globe. Nicolas Cage had done it all and had seen it all. Or so he thought. The last script to cross his desk was something new entirely: Descend Beyond. As he pored over every word, every page, Nick became more and more transfixed. It was as if the script had consumed his senses entirely. He could see himself kneeling before the great altar of a dark temple. He could feel the coarse stone on his fingertips as he drew ancient symbols and inked in blood on that very altar. I can't fucking read. Jesus Christ, let me restart that sentence. Holy fuck. He could feel the coarse stone on his fingertips as he drew ancient symbols inked in blood on that very altar. He could hear rumbling as the walls glowed and released. Nick called his agent immediately. By the time the sun rose, he was on his private jet bound for the Pacific. His agent had warned him that Descend Beyond was backed by some questionable financiers. Nick didn't mind. He was willing to do the film for free, but his agent talked him out of it. Touching down, Nick wondered if the rocky island was under lockdown. The dirt runway was flanked by research tents bearing a logo he did not recognize. As soon as he stepped off the jet, he was led by armed guards to the director of Descend Beyond, a white-haired woman with the hardness of a government agent, Pauline Stamper. Stamper herself drove Nick to the set. Set? Set. Set.
From the top!
I'm doing it! It's working! It's fine! Stamper herself drove Nick to the set, with another two black jeeps following them. The dirt road went through an abandoned camp along the edge of a waterfall and switched back down to the valley of dense forests. Stamper led Nick and the guards on foot to the film's key location, an ominous cave, home of the crumbling ruins of an ancient temple. I think this is the one that Vittorio was looking at. Holy shit. That's cool. Anyway, it was exactly what he had seen as he read the script in his office. The dark temple, the stone altar in the middle of the main chamber, the smooth walls waiting to glow, waiting to unleash. Nick was ready to film immediately. Stamper
Naturally.
gently reminded him that filming would commence the following morning, but Nick refused to hear any of it. The crew was quickly summoned, and just as the sun began to set, Nick heard the words he longed to hear: action. Nick performed his dialogue to the letter, a dark incantation that rolled off his tongue with ease. He dipped his fingers in a cup of red ink and painted symbols on the stone altar. He never felt this way on a set before. But then Nick looked up and saw the temple walls glowing, revealing symbols like the one he had painted on the altar. Nick had thought the glowing would be a special effect added to the film in post. Something was wrong. He approached the wall and touched the symbols, just like it said in the script. He stared in disbelief as black fog, a real black fog, billowed from the symbols and wrapped around his arm. This had to be a practical joke. He looked behind the camera, expecting to see Stamper and her crew laughing at their little prank. But they were gone, and the black fog was all around him. This can't be real. This is only a movie. Nicolas Cage is a superstar, trapped in the role of a lifetime. His perks help him make a quick escape, see the killer's aura, and pretend to be dying. I love that.
Right home.
Yes, agreed.
Maurice, Maurice,
Maurice.
Maurice.
I love Marie so much.
And then finally, just because I know that it is a very much like a performing type of
Don't you
Pokemon,
say Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff.
No.
So, for Nick Cage, I think that the best team that would be suited for him would be Mr. Rhyme, due to the acting and the showmanship of his craft. I'm not a big Nick Cage fan. Ditto, due to the fact that it can transform much like an actor does when it steps into a role. Sudowoodo, because it acts as a tree, and I don't know, Nick Cage has been in everything, so he's probably been a tree at least once. Meowscarada, due to it wearing the mask, and one of Nick Cage's perks has him holding up a stage mask, so I think it makes sense. Mimikyu, due to it disguising itself as a Pikachu, and then finally Eevee, due to it being able to fill any spot that you want it to, due to the fact that it has so many different evolutions. So with that being said, I think that the best team for Nick Cage would be Mr. Rhyme, Ditto, Sudowoodo, Meowscarada, Mimikyu, and Eevee. Next up, we have Detective Tippity Tip 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 Tap. So let's go ahead and take a look at his backstory. Yeah.
Detective David Tapp was one of the good guys. His determination to see killers brought to justice and their victims avenged had led him through a long and respected career. When he first saw the details of the Jigsaw case, it seemed like many others. More grisly and macabre, sure, but just another lunatic with a penchant for overdramatic, oh my kind of man, who would soon be behind bars. A stroke of insight brought Tapp and his partner, Detective Stephen Singh, to an abandoned mannequin factory where they discovered Jigsaw's lair. They apprehended the man, but he managed to escape before being unmasked, slashing Tapp's throat as he did so. Leaving his partner, Singh, he went in pursuit but fell victim to a booby trap. Boobies. Tapp had failed to go by the book on this one occasion, entering the lair without a warrant, and it resulted in a detective's death. He was discharged from the force and left with ruined throat and crippling guilt. He channeled that guilt into an obsession. He would find the killer, stop the murders, vindicate himself, and avenge his friend and colleague. Following the evidence trail brought him to Dr. Lawrence Gordon, and he staked out get it? His perk, staked out. He staked out at the doctor's apartment, sure that he would find some evidence of guilt. Then he saw a stranger at Gordon's window and heard gunshots. Tapp confronted him and the man fled, with the pursuit leading to an industrial building. Tapp's age caught up with him. A fight that he would easily have won in his younger days ended up with Tapp taking a bullet to the chest. Slumping to the floor, he saw only failure. He had failed his partner and the other victims. Whoever the killer was, Tapp was unable to stop him. More would die, and it would be his fault. He let rage and guilt consume him and closed his eyes for the final time. Beneath him, the concrete floor softened. He dug his fingers into the ground, feeling dirt and leaves. Where his chest had been wet with blood, the shirt was now dry and the pain had gone. His eyes opened to a darkened sky and the jagged, searching fingers of branches. Screams echoed through the forest, and a new determination filled him. His mind was clear for the first time in months. Victims needed to be avenged, killers thwarted. He didn't know what this place was, but he was still a cop. Oh boy. And he always would be. He had a job to do. David Tapp is an obsessed detective able to locate and complete objectives faster. His perks make him an objective focused and able to rapidly recover. His perks are all about determination and not giving up. He's dead set on reaching his goal and surviving no matter what. The end.
So with Detective Tippity Tip 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 Tap, we decided to, you'll notice a theme for the most part, but we decided to go with Arcanine. Due to Growlithe being a police dog, it would make sense for him to have it, and given the fact that he spent quite some time on the Force, it also makes sense that it would be evolved. Marowak, due to the fact that in the first game, it was a Pokemon directly affected by a crime or a grisly murder. Houndoom, due to the dogs being able to be trained for different canine units in the Johto region. Kling Clang, due to the perk Stakeout giving additional repair skills, so that means that he knows his way around machines and thus Steel-type Pokemon. Watchog, due to the fact that it's a lookout Pokemon and cops, they have to be vigilant 24/7. Stoutland, due to it being a trustworthy partner on rescue teams, according to its Pokedex entry. And finally, Mabostiff, due to it loving playing with kids, it's usually very gentle, but the moment that it feels it's in danger or that it has to protect somebody, it turns fierce. So with that being said, I think that the best team for Tippity Tip 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 Tap would be Arcanine, Houndoom, Klinklang, Watchog, Stoutland, and Mabostiff. So I just noticed in editing that we gave him Marowak, but then I didn't give him Marowak at the end. That's just bad counting on my part, so get rid of Marowak, and now he has a full team of good boys. So I have Reese Cups, but with Reese Puffs inside them.
Yo,
I like it.
that sounds so
It,
good.
it's got just that nice little crunch to it, and good mouthfeel.
My brain wants it so bad.
Last up, we have Adam, and you guessed it, let's take a look at that backstory.
Adam Francis was born in Rawlington Town in Kingston, Jamaica. His father died in a car accident when he was 2, and his uncle took him in. His uncle was strict, but a fair man, who raised him to value education. At Kingston College, Adam discovered his father's published works, which triggered his passion for literature. His campus, however, was known for its focus on athletics. As a shy teenager with his nose stuck in book, what a mood. He was the perfect
Same.
prey for bullies. Yeah, right? What he lacked in sports, he made up in grit. He learned to defend himself in the thick of it. It's during his years in college that he started to imagine his life elsewhere. While his close friends orbited the music industry, he followed a surer path. His grades granted him admission to higher education, and there was demand for teachers abroad. After graduating university, he taught extra classes to afford applying fees overseas. He had a steady diet of long commutes, grading piles, nightly lesson plans, and early classes. After a year, he managed to apply for a position abroad. His first plane ride took him to southern Japan for a new start. His life in Kagoshima was hectic. There was little time to do everything he took for granted back home. His Japanese was elementary at best, which slowed him down. Buying groceries took long. Oh, wait, no, we read that wrong. The husband.
I'm editing that part out.
Buying groceries took hours, long commutes had to be planned, and lesson plans riled on Japanese notions, which he had to learn. But after a few months, he found his rhythm. He reflected on it one morning while riding the train to work. He no longer had to study the kanji characters filling the map. He knew his way. His language skills had improved. He felt connected to his students, and he'd treat himself to luxurious restaurants on the weekends. He even had his first vacation planned. Within seconds, Adam's world was brought down to a slow motion. Rails hissed, bags came pouring down, and the floor trembled before the hit. Adam crashed forward as the train flipped upside down. He landed on a window pane as an unhinged door came flying at a passenger. He rolled over so that the door would hit him instead of the girl. He shut his eyes as he braced for impact, but nothing happened. He squinted one eye open, and he saw nothing but darkness. A heavy fog had taken over the train. Ice seemed to flow through his body, reaching his lips first, then the tip of his fingers before spreading to his legs. Lulled by the warm hum of a dark whisper, he closed his eyes, drifting. No one truly knows what happened to Adam Francis. The school teachers imagined the worst, but when they watched the train derailment on the news and saw he was missing, their fears seemed to be confirmed when Adam's bag was recovered from the crash site, but his body was never found. To this day, his uncle believes that Adam took off after the train crash, still alive, somewhere out there. Adam Francis is a resourceful teacher, able to adapt to new circumstances and develop strategies accordingly. His perks help him to distract a killer, survive desperate situations, and become more skilled as the trial continues. The end.
Take it.
And then, I don't know about you, but in a lot of my classes, I would fall asleep so Jigglypuff.
Shut up.
So with Adam, I think that the best team suited for him would be Golem, due to the fact that he has a perk where he just chucks a pebble. Knocked Owl, due to owls being considered a wise animal and teachers usually being associated with owls, it made sense. Clefable, due to the move Follow Me, like Adam trying to stop a train door from hitting somebody, knowing that he would likely perish in the process. Smeargle, due to Smeargle being able to learn every move available and the move Autodidact being such a learning move that allows him to do more the more he knows, I think it makes sense. Blissey, also due to Autodidact being a healing buff, and then finally, Absol, a Pokemon that can sense disaster. I feel like after having the worst day of your life, you would probably want a Pokemon that could predict that. So, with that being said, I think that the best team for him would be Golem, Noctowl, Clefable, Smeargle, Blissey, and Absol. So, with all that out of the way, that is another episode of Pokemon by Daylight. Now, with any luck, we're going to be doing some more recording here very soon. But with any luck, we will be able to get some more friends being able to read some backstories, so definitely keep on the lookout for that. Stay on the lookout for funny errand noises, because those are always going to come at the beginning or the end of videos. Time is hard, y'all. But as always, if you like the video, even if you didn't like the video, think about hitting the like and subscribe button, because it really does help me out. And until next time, everybody, peace out.
Pirate water! Is that a Gerwin?